You are live.
Good morning everybody, and welcome to a misty African dawn here in the Kruger National Park. My name is James Hendry. On camera today is VM and his white gloved hand. He looks like a waiter about to serve me breakfast, which is unfortunately not what's about to happen. Now, you're on a live safari if you're wondering who this fellow blethering at you out of the mist is, and that means you must talk to us, please, over the course of the next 3 hours. Hashtag Safari Live, questions at WildEarthTV. A cold front blew in sometime during the course of the night, and it has covered the low-veld, this is the low-lying areas of South Africa that we find ourselves in, about 450 meters above sea level, in a sort of eerie mist. Now, on the other vehicle, we've got Byron Sarau. He is joining us for his last 2 drives, unfortunately, at this particular stint of his existence here. He is being filmed by the very tall figure of Brian the Thumb Joubert. In the final control, Rebecca Christensen of Denmark, and Louise Pavid of Johannesburg is helping her out. You are all most welcome. You, of course, are the most important part of what we're going to be doing this afternoon, and so please do talk to us. We're going to head off towards Cheetah Plains, which is in the deep east, into that mist. We're going to bravely forge, hoping to see what we can find there. I don't know what we're going to find. The lions seem to have moved off. Perhaps they'll be found again. Byron is heading towards where Karula was. She's our famous queen, 12-year-old female leopard, with George and Charlotte, her 2 young cubs, and with any luck he'll find them. So that's the plan for the morning. I think the temperature is probably around about 12 or 13 degrees Celsius. It's around about 54 to 56 degrees Fahrenheit. And that is all I have to tell you for the moment. Let's go and find some animals. I'm just going to re-put my gloves on. Alright, there we go. Let's go to Byron and see if he's found the leopard.
Good morning everybody, and welcome again to Safari Live. My name is Byron, and with me on camera this morning is Brian. Morning Brian.
How's it?
And the Thumb.
Oh, yeah. Just
to make sure we got everything sorted behind us here. We're in the spot where Karula was yesterday with the 2 little cubs. I'm having a look now. It doesn't seem like she is here. Perhaps she has moved on. It was a very small kill that she made yesterday, a small duiker, and that's a substantial meal for a leopard, but when she's got 2 little cubs to feed, it can often get finished a lot sooner than if it was just her by herself. I'm trying to have a look. I saw a lot of hyena tracks heading into this area as we approached, so potentially what may have happened is, with these cubs, they climb in and out of the tree and they try and tear pieces of meat. They'll often knock a kill out of the tree, and by doing that, if there was an opportunistic hyena around, the hyena could possibly have stolen it. But I'm just going to look carefully around here. You never know, she could have hung around in this area, or maybe she went to go and have a drink of water. So we'll try to check carefully before we leave. Let's make sure we don't miss anything. We had a very exciting day yesterday. We had lions, we had wild dog, we had the leopard, and then those lions roaring at the end of the show, which was amazing. One of my favorite sounds. I want to check this drainage line carefully. I really do not see any sign of a leopard around here. Also, if there was hyena activity, Brian is scanning there for us now, but if there was hyena activity around here last night, then the chances of the female hanging around with the cubs are highly unlikely. She would prefer to take them and get them out of the area. Even those cubs are able to climb and get out of the reach of predators like hyena. If they accidentally slip or fall out of the tree or get caught unawares, those hyena will kill the cubs. So that female leopard will be very careful with protecting those cubs and trying to get them out of the area as quickly as possible if the kill is finished. There's no need for her to hang around. So, I think let us move out back towards the road. We'll have a good look and see if we can't find any tracks of them. So Matt in New York has asked us, are there any animals that we don't get during the winter or cold seasons? Animals that may potentially hibernate. So Matt, we don't have animals like you get in the United States, like bears and that hibernate, but other animals like more snakes, a lot of the reptiles will hibernate. They don't like the cold very much. So yes, I suppose they do hibernate. But we don't have mammals that hibernate in southern Africa that we don't see. Just making sure I don't miss anything while we're driving out here. James was very lucky with seeing the cubs yesterday. He spent most of the day with them and the whole afternoon drive, which was really, really great. It's very, very special to be able to see leopard cubs. You know, a leopard is such an elusive cat. And for that female to be very relaxed with the vehicles around her and happy to show us her cubs is really a privilege. Fantastic to be able to see them. So Siberia Zumi has asked us, what is the most resilient animal which occurs in this area and the most resilient animal to deal with change in temperature? So Siberian Zumi, the thing is in this area, you know, the temperature doesn't really drop massively like you get in North America or Northern Europe, where you have snow and extreme cold conditions. Yes, it gets cold, but it's not a massive temperature difference where you get extreme cold or extreme heat. So the temperature drops, but all the animals, with having fur on them, they adapt very easily to these cold conditions. So it's not something that would cause them to really, really suffer in the cold months. It's not that cold. Yes, we look bundled up and that, but it's because we can't handle the cold like they can. But all the animals are resilient to the temperature change. They have all adapted to suit their surroundings, and this area, all the animals are very comfortable, whether it be winter or summer. Just going to chat with Lex here quickly. Morning, Lex. How are you? See, good, thank you. So I've had a look there, no sign of her. I saw some hyena tracks. I'm not sure. Potentially she dropped the kill and they stole it. I don't walk through there yet. I'm just going to try check around, maybe if they've got tracks coming out.
Okay. I think I might do the same. I'll also go in and have a check and then
Okay. All right, great. See you later. Enjoy. Bye-bye. See, it helps for us to chat to other guides in the area and we just update each other and let them know exactly what we're doing, and we can work together as a team. You know, one guy will check one area and another guide will check another area, and hopefully we can work together to find whatever it is we're looking for, especially when it comes to tracking. So good morning to Caroline, who is a new viewer. So Caroline, you are on a live safari in the middle of South Africa. We are in the northeastern part of South Africa, in the greater Kruger National Park. in an area known as Djuma Game Reserve, which is in the Sabi Sands. It's a private part of Kruger, or the Greater Kruger. And what we are doing is taking viewers from all over the world on safari. So what we see, and as it happens, is what you see back home. It's really, really great. At the moment we're looking for a leopard and 2 cubs, but no luck just yet. They were seen yesterday morning and yesterday afternoon, and it looks like they've moved off, but I think because they had a kill, they potentially have finished the kill. So at the moment we're just scanning through the area and trying to see if we can't find any tracks of this leopard and her cubs. And Caroline, while you are watching, you can ask us questions at hashtag Safari Live, or email us questions at WildEarthTV. And your questions will come straight through to us. We'll be able to answer any other questions for you. John has asked us, what drive do I prefer, the morning drive or the afternoon drive? John, it's very difficult. I think both are great. I love the early mornings, especially in winter. The crisp early mornings, I really do enjoy it. And as the days start to warm up, I think in winter they're probably my favorite. And then I think the afternoon drives are great too. And yesterday we were very lucky. We had great afternoon drives. You'll notice I'm looking off the edge of the vehicle while I'm driving. I just want to make sure that I don't miss any tracks. But it is very difficult at times to try and see a little leopard track, which is not very big, only about that large. If you can see, there we go. And if you're not watching very carefully, it is difficult. It is still quite cool this morning, so a lot of the animals do stay hunkered down and rest in this cold weather until the sun rises and it starts to warm up a little bit. Then you get more animals moving around, a little bit more activity. Even the predators, who are generally nocturnal, move around a lot at night and early mornings. When it's cold like this just before sunrise or sunrise, the temperature drops quite a bit. So I thought I heard something. So Anne in Canada has asked us, are there any animals which migrate in this area because they don't hibernate? No, and not in southern Africa at all. There are no migrations down here. Migrations in Africa are generally not due to temperature change. It's mostly due to water and food change. You get a lot of migrations up in East Africa, in Kenya and Tanzania. Down here in southern Africa, there is still a constant amount of water, even though the dry seasons do occur. Some rivers do still hold water, so the animals do not migrate. You might get seasonal movements through smaller areas, but they don't necessarily migrate out of the country or cross borders into areas that have more food or more water. So not down here, no, but East Africa, yes. While I continue my search for a leopard, James has got some large grey animals for you to look at.
Now that large grey animal over there, everybody, has got a seriously impressive little rack of tusks for such a small elephant. I think he's going to be a very, very large tusker one day. Youngster. Probably only about, I don't know, about 9 years old maybe. And already got very impressive tusks. Right, we're halfway sort of between Djuma and Cheetah Plains. We've just stopped here to enjoy a bit of dawn elephant action. And there they walk. I'm just looking. Yeah, I'm 90% sure that's a young bull. And in the background, I think another young bull. And there's a whole herd feeding off behind us. And you may just be able to pick up the odd grey shape. You'll see one there, just in the back of your picture. There's a grey dawn shape. Almost ghost-like, walking through the misty woodland. This young chap is being particularly confiding about life. Isn't he great? He's very young now. He's not coming here just to find something to eat. He's almost certainly wandering over here because he's just quite interested in what we're doing. Just having a look and a listen and a smell. And you see him sort of feeling out the plants. And every so often he just turns the end of his nose towards us. That's his trunk, of course. Just decides, as a smell, to see if we are a threat maybe, or just to see if he can pick up anything that interests him smell-wise. Hugely important, of course, the sense of smell, the olfactory communication. Here we go. Now the good news, everybody, while we sit here, I must just tell you, is that Karula has been found. I'm sure Byron will get there. That's interesting, is that I said to Wiem halfway down Twin Dams Road, I said maybe we should just go across and check the other road there, and then we didn't. Anyway, she's popped out onto Philemon's Dip. She's heading south, which seems to be her sort of natural movement at the moment after she's had a kill up here. So that's great. With any luck, you'll be with 2 little cubbies very soon. Sorry, Elaine, I've missed your question. There was a lot going on the Game Drive channel. Elaine Cole, you've asked a question. I'm going to ask Rebecca to read it back to me. You want to know if the lions here have ever killed any elephants, Elaine? Elaine, not as far as I know, not an adult elephant. I know hyenas killed a crippled 4-year-old elephant not too long ago. I've no doubt that there must be a record or two of a sort of seriously starving elephant being killed by lions in this area, but it's very uncommon. It does happen in Savuti, and that's because of course they have an extended dry season there with very sparsely distributed water, and the elephants really do lose an enormous amount of condition over the course of the dry season. And the water is so concentrated that the lions just lurk around the water holes, knowing that eventually very thirsty animals are going to have to come and drink. And what they do then is prey on the young and very vulnerable elephants. Sometimes fully grown cows will be taken, but they have to be pretty weakened for an elephant to be able to take them. A question from someone called the Gremlins General. Hello, Gremlins General. You want to know if elephants migrate? Elephants do not migrate, Gremlins General. Sorry, and you want to know if they're territorial. They are not territorial. They are what we call, they have home ranges, so they have an area in which they move, but they do not defend it, they do not mark a territory. And so, yeah, not territorial at all. But that home range can be massive, or it can be very small, depending on the number of resources that there are in an area. And so while elephants can migrate, they can move vast distances between feeding grounds. If there is sufficient food in one area, they'll normally hang around. Water as well. Water, an extremely important limiting nutrient for elephants. And in this area, there's a lot of artificial pumping of water, and so elephants are never really that short of water, so it doesn't occur like it does in Savuti, where these sort of water-starved elephants try desperately to find water all the time. Very nice, enormous flatulence there. And James from Michigan, a very nice question from you about what are they going to eat in these very dry conditions. James, well, you can see there that they are eating the last of the green trees. There are a couple of evergreens that they will eat during the course of the dry season. We're almost into July now, which generally means that we've got 2 months left before the trees start to sprout. So they will move increasingly on to eating the bark of trees. So they'll break off big branches and they'll chew off the outer bark, which has got some nutritious vascular tissue inside it. That's what they'll eat there. They'll pick up the odd bit of dry leaves. They'll also try and find seed pods that have been dropped on the ground and left there. But it's going to be largely bark and twigs and roots. So they'll dig up. You see the tree he's eating there. It's called a Combretum. Looks like a Combretum calinum, or not large fruited, variable bush willow. And you can see it's broken. And what he will probably do is eventually dig out the roots. So he'll eat the bark at the moment. He'll sample the leaves. They're not a huge fan of the leaves. And then he'll start to dig out the roots, which are repositories for nutritious stuff. Lovely colours there. Aqua, interesting one from you. You say, do I think that the elephant's trunk evolved as a result of the digestive system, or do I think the digestive system evolved as a result of the trunk? Aqua, nothing about that animal evolved in isolation or as a response to something else that evolved about that animal. They will all characteristics would have evolved together for it to exploit largely, I suppose, the trophic or food niche that it needed to fulfill, or that was open, and that's basically what has happened there. And so I don't think that it evolved from eventually the same ancestors as the other hind gut fermenting animals like zebras and pigs. And you will find, I think, that the trunk was simply an evolutionary adaptation to reaching different foods and reaching a great suite of different kinds of fruits, and being able to pick up individual leaves, and of course to drinking and defense. And it also meant that the neck didn't have to be very long, because of course you know that many animals have to be able to reach down to the ground, and that puts a huge strain, of course, on the back. And if you're that big to have to do that, the muscles involved would have been enormous. Much more interesting, or much cleverer adaptation, if you like, to just have a long muscular protuberance from the front of your face, which I'm glad I don't have. Right, let's leave these fellows and start heading.
Oh, it's the lens messed it up.
No, the lens is okay. Apparently it is a little bit misted up. Ah, there we go. Well done. Marsha, we're going to move on slowly here because these elephants are feeding into the woodland. You want to know how it is that the tusks get longer, at least get rounder. You can see how they get longer but not rounder. Marsha, in the same way that a tree trunk, I suppose, well, not quite the same way, gets longer and rounder. The base just gets wider. So I mean, the tusks come out, erupt from the skull just below the nose. They are the two front teeth, And as the animal gets bigger, so there are obviously two growth points. One that sends the tusk out longer, and obviously one that makes it wider at the base. Because it couldn't, obviously, if it was very thin and very long, it would make it very brittle. Is that the answer you're looking for? If not, please let me know and I'll try and do a better job. I'm going to try and get you a nice look at the sun. Hello, Virginia. Virginia, you want to know if elephants ever replace their tusks. So you know that their molars, they get 6 sets of molars in the back and on the top, and you want to know if they ever replace their tusks. No, the tusks are one-off. Once they come out, that's it. Then you don't get another tusk. Let's head across to Byron. He's on the search for Karula. She is quite close by. I think she's moving south, so hopefully you'll get a glimpse of her before she disappears.
Yes, we are in search of Karula. We've heard Impala alarm calling, and we think she's in this area, just moving down towards this drainage line. There's another vehicle here too. Keep your eyes peeled. It's very exciting. Let's see what we can find. Just having a good look here. There she is, right up at the top there. There we go. Fantastic, we've found her. That is awesome. And we only knew that she was in this area because we heard those Impala alarm calling. So Lex heard them first and he let us know. He came looking straight into this, or came into this area. There is a cub I can see that is not far behind her, just hiding in the thicket. Might be able to see it shortly. There's a little bit of movement. There we go. Look at that, everybody. There's the one cub. Fantastic. That is really, really beautiful. Oh no, this is amazing. This is my first time to see Karula and her cubs. So excited. So we're actually quite far from where they had that kill yesterday. It just shows you they can move a lot if they want to. And I think it's exactly what happened. There was no sign of that kill anywhere. I think they must have dropped it and hyena scavenged and stole what was left, and then she decided to take the cubs out of that area. Oh, she's a beautiful, beautiful female. Oh, there's the other cub. Oh, fantastic, both of them. Right out there. That looks like a young male. Just saw. So she has a young male and a young female. Two very, very beautiful cubs. They're about 5 months or almost 5 months old. To my understanding, I was chatting to James about her last night. Beautiful 12, almost 13-year-old leopard. So she's still in her prime. She's got a few more years to look forward to, and she's obviously doing very well and being very successful. Having these two cubs, it's not always easy. Oh, look at that face. It's not easy to raise cubs for leopard. Good morning, everybody. So James Taylor has just asked us, are the cubs only eating meat? No, James, not necessarily. They possibly are still trying to suckle a little bit, but I don't think that female will allow them to suckle for too much longer. I haven't really seen if they are still suckling, but they try their luck. 3, 4 months old, they still try their luck and try and suckle a bit from their mother, but probably mostly just feeding on meat at the moment, and she will start taking them to water holes and allow them to drink. So there might still be a small chance that they get a little bit of milk from her, but generally they would be feeding purely on meat at this age. 5 months, yeah, I would say they completely feeding on meat now. They start feeding on meat from quite a young age. Up she gets. She may have heard something. Often what these leopards do is, especially now these early mornings, it's very, very cool. Just trying to see where she goes. I can just get a glimpse of her moving every now and then through the thicket, hoping she decides to come down into this drainage line where we are. She may also just move along the edge of the bank. There's still the one cub. Yeah, I can see her. She's moving along the edge of this drainage line. We're a little bit lower down at the moment. You can see how thick it is here. This is perfect, a perfect area for these leopard. We heard those impala alarm calling at her earlier, and when we saw the impala, it was in a little bit of an open area. So that's not ideal for leopard, especially with the cubs. She would like to stay. I caught a glimpse of her moving again. She would like to stay as hidden as possible. Just give me a second. I just want to see which direction she goes. See if we can't get another glimpse of her, and then we'll move. Try to follow her around. And Anna Marie, I'm also very, very happy that I managed to see the royal cubs. Copy, thanks. Yeah, got a visual. I think we're going to stay down here for now. Next, we'll move around, and then. But yeah, just keep me updated. Thank you. So she's moving along this drainage line. It's always difficult now to decide where we're going to go. Is she going to come down into this area? Is she going to stay walking on the other side? It's not always easy to predict where these animals are going to walk. But it is such a privilege to be able to see a female leopard like this with the cubs, especially on the move, because you can see how difficult it is to find them in this thick bush that they're like moving through. Oh, and what a beautiful morning. This mist, I know James touched on it earlier. It's sunrise at the mist. It's really, really amazing. We're so fortunate to be able to come out here and have a look around for these animals. I can see one of the other vehicles. And Lex, who found Karula or alerted us that the impala were alarm calling in this direction. As we stopped to listen, we heard it too. We rushed over here, and it's quite, as I was saying, it's quite far from where the kill was. So she's probably moved through most of the evening or early this morning. Just want to scan and see if I can't see which direction she's going in. But look at this beautiful landscape, the trees, the sunlight. So E.B. Murphy has asked just how far more or less they have travelled overnight. So I would guess probably from where the kill is as the crow flies. I'm trying to think now. About at least a kilometre, I would say. Maybe 1.5 kilometres. So that's quite a distance from where she was. I think she may have gone past the waterhole. I understand our dam cam went down during the evening, so potentially she went past. I'm not 100% sure, but the direction from where the kill was to where we are now, it's directly across that line of the dam. So I think she must have left the kill, moved around, potentially gone to drink with the cubs, because when they do feed on any prey, they do get quite thirsty. Maybe had a drink and then moved off. And that's interesting. That's exactly the area where those 2 male lions were last night. But I think when we left them, they had started to move off, and I think she probably was clever enough to avoid them. They moved more in a southerly direction, and I think she came from across the dam and then down. We are now southwest, I would say, of where the dam is, in that direction. Just trying to see now. Okay, it looks like we've stopped. No, they're moving again. I'm just watching one of the other vehicles. You can just get a glimpse of her moving through the thicket every now and then. It's quite thick down there, so I don't think it'll be very easy for us to get down there. The other thing is, when you're following these predators, I find it often helps just to be a bit patient and see which direction they are going, and inevitably they are going to come out somewhere that might be easier to get to, as opposed to trying to just crash through the bush and get to see them. You know, we also have to be a little bit sensitive when we are following these animals, especially this young female, but this female with the 2 young cubs. You know, we don't want to disturb them and cause them to be nervous of the vehicles at all, so we just being patient and sitting and waiting. See exactly which direction they go, and then we can hopefully plan that they come towards us if we stop up ahead. Just scanning again carefully, just seeing if I can't get a glimpse of them, but it is very, very thick. Using binoculars at the moment makes it a bit easier. So well camouflaged, especially in this light. It's not easy to see them. But I don't want you to leave us just yet. I want you to stick around so that we can try and show you these cubs and this leopard again. Let me just have a look. There's a bit of an opening here. I'm driving quickly. Copy, Lex. I wonder if it's not worth my while trying to come across to that side rather. Copy. It's all I suppose as I move she may come this side, so I'll sit here a little bit longer and wait. Right, there we go. Brian has got it. Brian, your spotting is amazing. That camera work that Brian's able to do is incredible. He's got it. That's amazing. And affirmative. We have got a view of her. Thank you, Lex. Yeah. So see how she's scanning constantly. She could potentially be hunting. You know, leopards are just very opportunistic. Even though she ate very recently, whenever they are walking around, especially through these drainage lines, these thick areas, she's able to conceal herself very, very well. And she'll still be on the lookout for any potential prey. But look at that, she blends in so well. It's nice. Brian is a little bit higher than me, so with the camera, it's a bit easier to spot, and he's able to give you that great view. Don't see any sign of the cubs just yet, but they're obviously a little bit smaller. Wow, look at that sunlight on her face. So TM and Torley has asked us, how can we tell the difference between a cheetah and a leopard? So TM, one of the main differences is the face, and the leopard has a very large round head with with the pattern on a leopard is known as rosettes. So they don't have clear spots, even though further down the body and the stomach and that you can see round spots, but on the body it is a rosette as opposed to a clear spot. I will show you in the book shortly. I just don't want us to take the camera off that leopard now. We've been trying very hard for a view of her, so while we can see her, let's just keep an eye on her. So Tim, the thing is, the leopards are slightly shorter cats, but they are very powerful. So they're very stocky. They've got a very muscular build, whereas the cheetah are slightly taller, a little bit more slender, and built for speed. And the cheetah have very clear spots on their body, and they've got on the face, if you look at the face, they've got clear black, what we call tear marks. They run from the eye all the way down around the face, or around the nose, down the face. The leopards do not have that. The leopards also have that very beautiful, looks almost like a necklace, a stripe of black markings around the neck. Do you see that? You can actually see it on the female. And they prefer different habitat. Leopard prefer thicker areas, whereas cheetah, especially because of their hunting style, they run down their prey and use their speed. They prefer more open areas. I hope that answers your question a little bit better. I would like to show you in the book, but I will show you in the book a little bit later. It's so wonderful and peaceful. It's great just to sit here and watch this leopard. You know, often in situations like this, and when I do guide guests, it's just nice to sit peacefully and watch and see how she reacts to the sounds and the smells and everything she can pick up that we might miss. But she's constantly on the lookout. You see how alert she is. We've got some scrub robins calling in the distance, some starlings. It's a very, very beautiful morning. Looks like that female is sitting right on top of a termite mound. And they will use termite mounds, especially termite mounds, for a vantage point. Gives a raised elevation. She may look around just as she is doing now. Just want to see, Brian, if you don't mind, let me just try to see if I can reposition us. I think I've spotted a little gap through the trees. We might see her a bit clearer. Just hang on a second. There we go. Look at that there, Brian. You should see her clearly through there now. Oh, look at that beautiful view. That side lighting, this is a photographer's dream. I think especially if you got some bigger lenses, might be able to get it nicely through here. Still hear some other alarm calls in the distance. Just going to see where this female does move to from here. Going to sit here and spend some time with her. Cross over to James and just see what he is up to. I think he's just got onto Cheetah Plains.
Right, everybody, we have indeed just got to Cheetah Plains, and we're sitting here at 3 in a row pan. Well, not sitting so much as doing a drive-by. There was some zebra that scuttled off into the woodland over there. Haven't found any tracks yet, but it is a glorious morning here. You have found Karula, which is brilliant, and there's a mistiness about it, which makes everything rather mysterious and very pleasant indeed. Let us stop briefly here and observe the water. There is a blacksmith lapwing. I'm just going to find out quickly exactly where that... Somebody's called in a lion, but I think it's on Chitwa. Please confirm location of that sighting. My radio comms are not great here on Cheetah Plains. It's so quiet and so lovely out here. It feels like we're the only people here. And in the background you can hear a red-crested korhaan. Toop, 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 toop. Hello, Kyle Maxetters. You say, can we please go and look for Inkanyeni? Kyle Maxetters, we are doing just that. It's not really a question of just sort of going to look for her. She almost has to kind of find us. We will hopefully find some tracks maybe, and if we're very lucky, she'll be draped in a tree somewhere close by. But yes, Inkanyeni or Quarantine, 2 leopards we might see here. It would be great to meet Inkanyeni's youngsters. We haven't met them yet. Or I haven't. Have you met them, Vim?
Inkanyeni?
Yes,
the
babies.
No.
So, that would be great, Kyle. So let's carry on. We might also be lucky with some cheetah in the plains, especially early morning. They might still be hunting. Let's go look. I'm interested that Karula seems to be hunting again, and that tells me that that duiker did not sufficiently satiate all 3 of their hungry mouths, and you could see how voraciously those little cubbies were eating yesterday. They were extremely hungry. Were little George and Charlotte. Alright, let's go back to Karula. Hopefully she will stay north of our boundary. We'll continue to the plains.
While James is checking Cheetah Plains, we are still here with Karula. She hasn't moved off that termite mound. It looks like she's just enjoying the sunlight there at the moment. Well, there's definitely something else in this area. We can hear alarm calls not far west of us, and it sounds like well, there's definitely impala alarm calling, and it sounds like a nyala or kudu that is also alarm calling. They've got a very deep bark. Sometimes it's difficult to tell the difference if you don't listen carefully, but it's a bow, bow, It's a very loud bark that they give as an alarm call if they see a predator. So Lex has actually just gone into that area to go and have a look. We said we'll keep an eye on Karula. Again, the teamwork is very important out here. That you can try and see as much as possible while working with other people and working as a team. Because it is not easy in the bush to do everything yourself. She's posing so beautifully for us. Shamsan has asked or said and made a comment that it's very interesting that he can't hear any birds alarm calling at the leopard. And don't birds alarm call at the leopards? They do, occasionally. But often what happens is, it is when they are moving around and if they are out in the open. And there's certain bird species that do alarm call at them. Rattling cisticulars, the grey go-away birds, starlings, a lot of those bird species will alarm call at them. Franklin, I've heard other birds of prey actually also alarm call at predators. But where she is at the moment, she's in a thicket and she's not really moving around too much. So you're not going to get a lot of bird activity around her or picking up on her moving through there. But if grey go-away birds, for example, did see her, they would alarm call. Often what the leopards do is they then walk and they raise their tail and they show the white tip of their tail. And the theory behind that is that they are saying, okay, I know I have been seen, I know I have been spotted, I'm not a threat, I'm purely passing by. So they try and make themselves more visible. And the reason for that is then to try and move through the area as quickly as possible so that they can get away from the alarm calls. They don't want to attract too much attention to themselves. But good question, and it is interesting. While she's sitting there aren't any birds alarm calling at her. But I think it's because she's moving through this drainage line. It's a little bit thicker. She's well hidden. We can see her quite nicely now, but she's not really out in the open or close to anything that potentially could feel threatened. So the birds for now are leaving her alone. And also I don't see any of those birds in this area at the moment. Nice little stretch. Oh dear, we're going to have to watch very carefully now. You can hear more impala alarm calling, but now off to our south, which is interesting. I don't want to lose sight of Karula. Try and follow her for as long as possible. Just keep scanning that area. While I try get another glimpse of Karula, I'll try to see exactly where she's going. We'll work out what these alarm calls are. Cross over to James. He's on Cheetah Plains. Let's see what he has.
Righty, hello everybody. We're just slowly making our way down towards the plains, driving very slowly. We saw a huge flock of African hoopoes. Now those of you who live in the United Kingdom or somewhere around Europe, you'll know what a hoopoo is. And it was very unusual because there were about 10 of them in the one flock, which I thought was quite strange. But otherwise things have been fairly quiet down here. We found a duiker. I think that was about all. A couple of kudu on the way here. Now, behold this sign of the drought. That is not a python in the road, everybody. It is a pipe. But the pipe has been dug up by elephants, and that is because the elephants can feel the water moving under the surface of the ground. So you really, if you're going to put a borehole pipe in, you've got to bury it very deep. Otherwise the elephants will eventually dig it out, and that's exactly what's happened there. And that's going to be something of a problem, because they're going to have to fix that pipe. Otherwise, Cheetah Plains Pan will not be pumped. They're so very clever, the elephants. Now Betty, you have asked a question about one of the greatest, one of the greatest kind of, I think, misconceptions. You've asked a question about whether or not, given drought conditions or adverse conditions, animals are able to hold back their fetuses, so prolonged gestation. So I'll tell you where this comes from. It comes from impala. Impala, we all know, synchronize their births at the end of November, and what happens is that people will tell you that, well, they can hold back giving birth if they have to, if the conditions are not great, and they can hold back giving birth for at least something like 3 or 4 months, until February, for example. Now, this is, sorry, I've got 74 radios going in my ear. This is not possible. It's simply impossible, because what would happen is that the fetus would have to stop growing, and for the fetus to stop growing, it would have to stop having nutrients given to it, because if the fetus were to continue growing, obviously it would become impossible for it to be born. So no, it's absolutely not possible. Oh goodness, there is a lot of stuff going on here. Becca, I'm going to ask for you to link away from me if you don't mind. I need to try and sort out what's going on here. We've just got to figure out, there's thousands of vehicles here, everybody. Let's go back to Byron. Let me just figure out what's happening here.
So, welcome back everyone. We lost a view of Karula. She moved off the termite mound. I'm trying to get around this big drainage line to see if we can't get back into that area on the other side. It's not easy. It's very thick, and I looked for an area to cross, but no luck yet. But I've just crossed through the drainage line on the road, but I'm going to try and get all the way back around to that area where she was. It's all very exciting. I'm so glad we did get to see her in the cubs though. Oh dear. Hope you're all enjoying this as much as I am. It's so great to be able to see a leopard and follow her and try to work out where she's going. It just shows you how difficult it is to find them. I mean, walking through those thick drainage lines, it's almost impossible to spot them. You really, really have to be very, very careful and look very closely. Okay. Trying to see the trees. I'm looking for into the trees. I'll tell you why. Is because while we drive around like that, it helps. There's a little daycare I just spotted moving off. While we're driving around like that, if you can see a prominent tree, it makes it easier to then know which direction she was heading. You can use that as a reference point to try and work out exactly where these animals are going. Gremlins General has asked us, let's just see, I think I'm in this area now where she was. Gremlins General has asked, do the leopards see color vision? So the theory and the understanding is no, they don't. They've got a neutral vision, so more black and white vision. That's the understanding. Look, while I try and maneuver through this area and work out where that leopard's gone, James has got an elephant to show you.
This is an enormous tuskless elephant bull, everybody. He's very close by. He's in full must. This is unbelievable. Look at him. He's a huge, huge elephant bull. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that fantastic? And he didn't even look at us. Now he's got no tusks. Now that is very unusual. Now it's all happening here at Cheetah Plains. There's some lions just down the road here. So I think we'll probably try and move in there once we've had a look at that magnificent elephant. He's fully grown. Just hang on a sec. Go ahead. I was trying to stand by for the cheetah position, but it seemed like there were 3 or 4 people already standing by. If there's space there, I'd like to come there. So there's cheetah, there are lions, everything all over the place here. But the radio is an absolute disaster, so it's very difficult to hear what's going on. Thanks, that would be great, Mike. Sorry everybody, I am just trying to find out what's going on here. Mike, I'm in no rush, so yeah, I'll just gently make my way there. Alright, we're just going to go and have a quick look. Okay, we're going to go and quickly have a look at the cheetah, everybody. They seem to be on the far southeastern corner, so we'll just nip down there, and that we might get a quick view of them. Hold on tight. I'm sorry about my lack of attention to your needs, but the radio is just very difficult to understand what's happening here. There's lots of action, which means everybody is very excited about what's going on here. There's some vultures. Now, there were 3 male lions killed. In fact, we'll go back there just now. 3 male lions killed here yesterday. We don't know who those male lions are. 3 females as well from a seemingly unknown pride came into the area as well. So it's all very exciting. Now, we'll just try and get around the corner here. I'm not exactly sure where those cheetah are. So if I do have to ignore you, I'll just be finding out on the radio what's going on. Now, we did have a question there, Rebecca, from James. I'm afraid I missed it. If you wouldn't mind giving it to me again. James, you were worried about elephants attacking a vehicle, and you say, what do you do if an elephant attacks? James, what we do if an elephant attacks is you try and make sure you're not in the way. So, for example, you read the elephant's behavior, and I could see that elephant paid us almost no heed at all. He would not have just attacked. He would have warned us, almost certainly. And elephants are very good at warning you, which means that if they get upset, you can tell. If you then stay in their way, well, then you're asking for trouble. The key thing is, if you're with elephants and you think that they're a little bit uneasy, what you have to do is just make sure you've got a forward escape route, and you've got to read their behavior. And the key thing is increasing space. It's no good saying, I'm going to stand down this elephant, I'm going to teach it a lesson, I'm going to be the big deal, and I'm not going to run away from it. That's a really bad idea. Okay, we're going to try and get into this cheetah sighting. Let's head back to Byron and Karula. It's all action at the moment. Go ahead.
Yes, that's right, James. It is all action at the moment. We found her again. managed to, we drove quite a way around. Luckily, we recognized the trees in the area, and we thought, let's have a look at it. And she's curled up on top of a termite mound, quite well hidden, but she's warming up in the sun. I don't see any sign of the cubs at the moment. She may have left them somewhere. They could be hiding it's very thick around here. They could be hiding, but she may have left them in a drainage line while she is making her way around, potentially looking for food. But now she's resting beautifully on this termite mound. So exciting. St. James has got cheetah on cheetah plains. There's lions about. It's all happening. Beautiful, beautiful face. No, James is rushing to try and find some cheetah for you. As soon as I get any word that he has got them, we'll cross over to him, just so you can hopefully get a view of those cheetah too. And then we can definitely see, you'll be able to see the difference between the cheetah and the leopard, how different they look. It's always nice to see a live animal to tell the difference between the two. Oh. Trump's buffoon has asked us, how do the cubs stay so well hidden? Does she communicate with them and tell them to stay in a specific area? Yes, she definitely does. It's amazing. The communication between leopards or any adult and the young is incredible. Lionesses do the same if they are at a den site, and they will give a contact call or a certain call to tell the cubs to stay, and they stay in that area. They do not move. Same with these leopard. So leopard will move around, once they give birth, they'll have a den site, and those cubs know to stay at that den site until the female returns. Those beautiful paws. She's got her paws tucked in, trying to keep them warm. And the leopards will give a call, a contact call. And I also think we don't really understand the communication that well. But I've seen it where they're walking with their cubs and she gives a certain call and she walks into an area, and then as she walks out, the cubs don't follow anymore. They stay right there. So they know. Look at those beautiful rosettes that I spoke about. Beautiful markings and the pattern on a leopard. So the cubs know to stay in that area. They will not move until that female returns. Oh, this is so special. This is amazing. Go ahead, Lex. Okay, copy. Lex, still with Karula. She's come down a little bit, but still in that same area that you left her in, around that termite mound. She's just lying down at the moment. No sign of the youngsters. So Lex was just telling me that he found where the kudu and the impala were alarm calling, but he can't see anything around there. So potentially another leopard that was moving through the area, but it's not always that easy. They'll alarm call those antelope soon. Sorry, I'm just getting an update from Lex. Okay, copy, Lex, thank you. So as I was saying, so Lex was just telling me where those alarm calls were coming from exactly. But as I was saying, when these animals do get alarm called at, they'll try and move out of the area because they know, and especially with leopard, if antelope like impala or kudu start alarm calling, it draws a lot of attention to them. and they don't like that attention. They don't like potentially hyenas trying to follow them, because hyenas will be alerted. They'll come and have a look, see if there's a potential kill they can steal. So they generally try and move out of that area very, very quickly if they are being alarm called at. It sounds like James has just found the cheetah. Cross over and see what they are up to.
Well, everybody, look at that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sighting. 2 male cheetah, our male friends. Unfortunately, they seem to be about to head off into Mala Mala, which is a bit sad, but we're just going to have a quick view of them. What a joy to have these cats, Karula and her cubs, over the last little while. We have truly been blessed beyond it. We are so lucky. Just move along here. I'm pretty sure the other one will get up and come across as well. Now we can only be on the boundary. This is the kind of end of when we're going to be able to see them. Isn't that wonderful? Unfortunately, that's going into Mala Mala, but that's okay. They look very fat. They look like they've had an exceptionally good meal. Stunning stuff. Fantastic. So they are, for those of you who don't know, everybody, we're not going to be able to see them again once they've got into Mala Mala. This is fantastic. James, Richard, you say, considering cheetah have such an incredibly low genetic diversity, you say, are they likely to be more susceptible to diseases? Definitely. Absolutely. To some extent. But at the same time, although they are probably susceptible to more diseases, everyone, they are pretty resilient. And you know, the big legend you'll hear is that cheetah are all descended from one female. You know, their genetic diversity is so low that they're probably all descended from one female. Now, I'm not convinced that that's true. I don't know. I mean, they can pretty accurately tell, I suppose, from sort of genetic studies. But whether that's, you know, how susceptible to disease that makes them, or if it's actually true or not, I don't know. But I think it's become one of these things that is quoted by guides all over the world now, simply because, you know, I'm not sure how thoroughly it's been investigated. But they do have a lower genetic diversity, and apparently you can do a skin graft from any cheetah anywhere in the world, and it will take. And that's because the genetics of them are pretty low. The pool is shallow. Very nice. They're just marking territory. And the territory, of course, of a cheetah is temporary. It's not it doesn't stick in an area like a leopard or a lion territory, because their distribution is almost solely based on their ability to avoid other predators. So we are very, very lucky, everyone. Cubs, leopard, and magnificent cheetah. This is a rare treat, and for those of you who are perhaps new viewers, you know we don't see cheetah very often at all. It's not common for us to view them like this. And simply because there are not that many around, the habitat is not ideal for them. Oh, I got a picture there. If if you can believe it, Veer, but I did miss his feet, unfortunately. He was sort of in focus. He's almost in focus. Everybody, I am the world's slowest and possibly most useless photographer. Yeah, no, it's a disaster. I'll show you the picture a bit later. VM, of course, will derive enormous amusement from it. And I think one of them, although they're probably brothers, and although you'll be told that there isn't a great deal of kind of dominance between the two, it would seem to me that one of them always follows the other. So this chap, you can see, is basically doing what his brother's doing. He's marking on the same trees and marking in the same places, but well behind. Let's just see if we can't get a last view of them. They're just lying on the boundary there. Let me try and get a bit of height so we can see on top of them. I fear me the super zoom camera would have been a better option here. Perfect light. Oh, gorgeous morning. Well, we've still got them there, everyone. Beautiful. Yeah, I'm afraid that's going to be the best view we have of them. They'll probably lurk there for a little while. It's still quite cool, so I suspect they'll move. I'm 95% sure they won't be doing any hunting, simply because they are very full already. You could see their bellies swollen and hanging. So I don't think there's going to be much in the way of hunting today. Now, Richard, you want to know if the territory of a lion and a cheetah overlaps. They do overlap, Richard. They must overlap. And they overlap for a very good reason, and that is that they eat different things. They occupy a different niche. And although there is overlap in what they eat, they occupy a different niche. And so there is overlap, but cheetah will avoid lions at all costs. Their distribution is often, and quite interestingly, is normally dictated by the distribution of male lions. Now, only about a quarter of a mile from here, there are 3 male lions feeding on a buffalo carcass. So in this particular case, it doesn't seem to have made a huge difference. There's a very amusing vehicle next to us. And Velma, you're wondering about how they're going to mate. Are they going to find females? Will they leave their territory to go and find females? Yes, I suppose they might. But I think you'll find more it's a case of females actually seeking them out. So often that happens with the cats, where the female will seek out the male, and she will lie down, or she will come and mark in an area. And what happens is there is a female that moves through this area. She'll mark her territory here, and if she's coming into estrus, that will leave a certain amount of pheromone in the urine. They'll pick that up, and they will then try and find her. Beautiful afternoon, at least morning. I think they'll probably get up again and move off to the south. And we'll try and go to those lions as well at some stage. I think there was such a mad rush for the lions and for the cheetah, that people who were in the lion sighting came screaming out to have a look at these chaps. Now they've gone back to the lions. So I think we'll just stand by and enjoy this, and then perhaps we'll go to the lions. Not sure what Karula's story is at the moment. There you can see they're getting up and moving. Now it's completely opposite to what I said initially. I initially said that I thought that male that's been left behind here was the one who was leading the charge, and I don't think that is the case anymore. You can see they look almost identical, and we don't spend enough time around them to really be able to see the difference. Anyway, everybody, I think that's going to be it. A Twitter handle from someone called Trump's Buffoon here. I'm going to hope deeply that's a facetious Twitter handle. You say, do cheetah kill cubs in the same way that lions do? Do they engage in infanticide? Trump's Buffoon, they do. Probably not as much, but unrelated male mammals of just about any species will kill unrelated youngsters. It's one of the driving forces, actually, of mammal evolution and mammal social structure evolution. It's quite an interesting thing. Lions, obviously, the most obvious example. These guys, of course, if they do father youngsters, are highly unlikely that their cubs will come across an unrelated male. But an unrelated male could well kill them. The leading cause of leopard cub death, unrelated male leopards. A huge part of cheetah social structure is a huge part of chimpanzee social structure, for example, is infanticide, and certainly one of the big drivers in their sociology. Now, a wonderful, warm, low-felt welcome to Rodine School for Young Girls. All of you in grade 1, Madam Creel and Madam McConnell. Hello, Madam McConnell and Madam Creel. I hope you're all having a lovely, chilly Joburg morning. I hope it's not too cold for you there. It's pretty chilly here, but it's not nearly as cold as it is there for you. We've just had 2 cheetah there. Unfortunately, they've crossed south of our boundary, so let's just look at those cheetah quickly. My name is James, and on the camera today is VM, and also going to be taking you round a little bit for the next hour or so is Byron, and Byron's a very good friend of mine. And you know what? Byron and I both went to school not too far from where you went to school. I was just across the road, and Byron a little bit further up the ridge. So we know that area where you are very well. See the cheetah? Beautiful, beautiful special cats. We're so lucky to see them, and I don't think they look very big from where you're sitting, but they're very tall, you know. They'll probably stand at the shoulders, that's the top of their backs, about as tall as your shoulders, and that's a pretty big animal. It probably weighs as much as a full-grown man. So big cats. And of course the cheetah, as everybody knows, or if you don't, you will now, is the fastest land mammal in the world. You know how fast they can run? They can run at 100 kilometers per hour. That's the same speed as you and your dad drive along the highway. That's an amazing speed, but they can't run for very, very far. So if you have any questions at all, if you want to ask me or Byron anything about the things that we're seeing, please feel free to ask us questions. We'd love to hear from you. Now, my friend Byron from One Cheetah, now you can ask him the difference between a cheetah and a leopard. He's got a beautiful female leopard to show you.
Yes, James, everything's going on at the moment. We're still with this beautiful female leopard. I think this is going to be our last glimpse of her. She's moving off through the thicket, but we have spent quite a bit of time with her. It was lovely to see the cubs this morning. Good morning to Rodine and Madam O'Connell and Madam Creel and their class of grade 1s. Lovely to have you with us this morning. So glad you joined us just in time to get a glimpse of this leopard. There the birds are alarm calling at her, rattling testiculars, and she's raised her tail so that she can show them that she's not a threat. She's trying to just move through the area. So I think that is the last glimpse we're going to see of that leopard. So for the new Rodine girls, my name is Byron, and we have Brian on camera with me this morning. It's great to have you with us. And the thumb. So I was speaking about the alarm calling. Now that is a distress call or an alarm call that animals give to warn each other that there's a predator in that area. So in this occasion, the birds are alarm calling to warn potentially each other or other animals that there's a predator moving through here. Now, even though those birds are in no danger from the leopard, they still alarm call because it is pure instinct. They want to warn everyone that there's a predator around. This morning early, we got to see Karula, this female leopard, with her two little cubs. We saw them quite briefly. She was moving them. Yesterday they had a kill. She was feeding on a daycare, and they got to eat. All of them got to eat, which is great. But during the course of the evening, she lost the kill. I think what may have happened is while she was feeding, or while one of the cubs was feeding, they knocked it out of the tree, and I think hyena came and stole it. So this morning, she was moving them into a safer area, away from the area where all the hyena activity is. And what she did then was, it looks like she's hidden them in this beautiful, there's a little drainage line you can't see, but just behind us and further back where was the last time we saw them. I think she's hidden the cubs in there, and she's heading off now, potentially to go and try and hunt again to provide food for those little cubs. Really glad you got to see her though. So it's all been happening this morning. We've had cheetah, we've had leopard with cubs. It's been a fantastic, fantastic morning. We're going to move out of this area now, see what else we can find. Look where we're going. There's been a lot of alarm calling in this area from other animals too. We just heard impala, and they give a very distinct alarm call. It's a sound, it sounds like a snort, like a oh, my alarm call is terrible. Brian's laughing at me. It's like a nasal snort, and it's a very strange sound. But what they do is if they see a predator, they will alarm call and make a noise to warn each other and say there's danger around, you must be careful. And then they hopefully will move away without the predator, or the leopard in this case, hunting them. But also we want the leopards to eat, so it's a give and take situation. So Jamie has asked us, how many animals do we see every day? So Jamie, it all depends. It depends on how lucky we are with driving through the bush, because sometimes you can drive through the bush and go on a game drive and see very, very little animal movement, but you enjoy the other little things that you might see, or just enjoy the sounds and the smells in the bush. Some days we see a lot, like yesterday. James and I saw lots on game drive. We saw wild dog, we saw leopard, we saw lions, we saw elephant, we saw buffalo. So there was a lot going on yesterday. This morning we've been very lucky too. We've seen leopard, we've seen impala, we've seen elephant. James has seen the cheetah. So there's a lot that we do see while we're out on our safaris or on our game drives. But it all depends. It all depends. You can never predict what you're going to see. But Jamie, sometimes we see lots of animals and sometimes we don't see too much. But that's what makes it so exciting, is we don't know what we are going to see.